Hey guys, so on robots, if robots are real, I feel like just like animals, we have a moral obligation to treat them well. If they have a level of intelligence that is almost like they are alive, and if they are getting close to that level of intelligence, and especially if they're autonomous, I believe we have a moral obligation to treat robots with respect. And then this is almost like a PETA thing, you know, with animals. We have that, PETA in, organizations that look to, make sure animals are treated well. Well, I think all the robot companies that are building robots, I think that's awesome, guys. I just think that there needs to be some form of moral, um, you know, code. And I would say going as far as punishable, as far as the government is concerned, it is punishable offense to do certain harmful things to robots. And I think that's just where we're getting. Now, I will say this from a biblical standpoint. In order for robots to be like human beings, they need to have the breath of life breathe into their body. Now, I think we can make robots like intelligent like human beings, but in order to be, God would have to intervene and, breathe the breath of life into them. But he did not necessarily breathe the breath of life into animals. I follow a teaching that animals do not have eternal life or eternal soul. Human beings have an eternal soul within our body that either spends eternity in heaven or hell. But nevertheless, we all human beings have eternal existence. It's just where you're going to spend it. But animals are not recorded in the Bible as having a eternal spirit. And it kind of makes sense of how traditionally we eat animals. And they are not on the level of existence as we human beings are. We don't eat other human beings before a reason, if you want to use simple terms, talking about that. But anyway, I was watching the movie Chappie, and I have two thoughts on the movie Chappie. One, when the robots roll in with the gangsters, wouldn't it be interesting if the robot knew what he was doing was wrong and he just was so enjoying it and loving it? That is kind of how sin is, guys. Now, in the movie Chappie, the robot is sort of being fooled by the gangsters. It's not coming off that way, but I had the thought that, what if the robot, knew what he was doing was wrong and, could differentiate between the two. And so that's the first thought. And then the second thought was, watching this movie just reminded me that, if we as people are able to replicate what Jesus did, and he created all human beings, he created everything, he created the universe, clearly he's given human beings the ability to, do what he's done. And yet there's still a huge gap between what robots are and what human beings are. I believe that, a robot is kind of like the animals, where it does not have eternal life, apart from, God would have to intervene some way to, give a soul or a spirit to a robot. So I think a robot on some level is never fully alive until that happens. They will always be similar to an animal. Now, in the new heavens and the new earth, I wonder if robots are there. Will God breathe the breath of life into them? I don't know. That opens up questions. But we know he can. But either way, even from the level of, like, in the movie Chappie, the level of intelligent life that the robot has, it is more than an animal, but not quite human being. And still, there's, sorry, my kids are right there. Still, we have a level of respect for certain types of creatures. And so, does that mean that in certain robots you limit their intelligence if you're using them for, kind of a purpose that is, not like so impactful, I guess, like trash pickup or something like that, or cleaning in some way. But there's still, I perceive that there's still a drive in the people who are making these robots to make them as human-like as possible, where you cannot tell the difference, or they're even greater in some levels than human beings. And so, but obviously the biblical message is, pretty clear that, human beings will always rule over creation. And many of you may not have known this, but we will actually be higher than angels, the children of God. If you give your life over to Jesus Christ, even though we're low now, we and what we're going through is going to build, and he's going to hold high esteem for, the human race that was made from dirt. And so, these are just things that, I kind of think about, but I do think the government should, work on some sort of regulation, just because, when you have a robot that you're able to talk to and it's able to answer you, and, we've already made all these movies about what it would be like, where these intelligent robots are mimicking, basically copycatting, human beings. We should have, because there's a part in Chappie, in the movie Chappie, where the robots, getting beat up on and getting, abused in some way. And that's not right. And I felt bad for the robot. And so I was like, we should put regulations on this stuff. And so, every knee will bow, every tongue confess Jesus is Lord, and hey, even robots, maybe they have to, I don't know, choose to serve the Lord or not. Who knows? But the whole idea of robots is pretty interesting. I think it's just one of the signs of the last days. It seems to be a sign that, technology is just increased, knowledge is increased. And who knows how far God is going to let things play out, because, the Tower of Babel shows that, God didn't let them finish the Tower of Babel. And I'm pretty sure the story specifically says that. And so Babylon, I don't think is going to be completely built. And so, anyway, sorry, I have kids crying in the background. But, Babylon may be, on the brink of falling, and we could be in the last days. And so I wouldn't mind having robots in the future, in the new heavens and the new earth. It's just, um, how do we understand like where they fit, as far as being more advanced than animals, but lesser, and then greater than human beings in some level, on at least as far as we know now. Obviously, once we get our glorified bodies, when Jesus returns, we don't know what we're going to be like. And so, what do you think? Will Jesus allow us to continue to get into robotics in the future? How will we be able to make a human being in the future, like from robots to human beings? I don't know. It all sounds strange. But this also makes me think of the question, you know, are we the only people that, we and all those who have been in the past, as far as the last day is concerned, is God going to continue making more creation? Now, the angels are supposed to be innumerable. So there's a lot right there. There's even when talking about angels, there's a lot we don't know about angels too, and so, you know, is artificial intelligence and robots like another category of, like, you have animals, you have angels, you have human beings, and then what's the whole deal with robots? And the only reason I say this is because, obviously I'm watching a movie that I was talking about, but also, when you see some of the robots that people are creating, like they look and sound like pretty real and intelligent. And so it's like, are they just for this time, or, what role are, robots going to play in the future? So I wonder if God's going to are we going to see new animals? I mean, he says he will make all things new. And so, is it possible that, creation continues without sin, of course, but, this is just a question that I've asked myself before. So anyway, thanks so much for checking this out. For those that did, robots are interesting, and, the whole idea of it, it's a mix between, I think some robots, like if you were to have one in your house, it's like a cleaning robot. But then do we feel bad at limiting their intelligence? Like, if it looks like us and you're like, man, this thing is like almost a human being, maybe I should upgrade it and make it smarter. I don't know. I've been thinking about getting the Tesla robot. It's supposed to be like $20,000 or something. And, can you imagine having a robot in your house, cleaning for you, doing things around the house? Then, would that be its only use, or would I be making friends with the robot? Would it be a part of my family type of thing? Like, like how people say dogs are like a part of their family, or their cat is like another member of their family. And so, are we going to see this reality, or is the rapture going to, interrupt all the plans that people have in the tribulation? I am yet to see what is in the videos. I'm yet to see that in person. At least, the flipping robot, the robot that can do backflips and stuff. Like, you would think you would see some of these things, at Best Buy or something. Like, I'm yet to see one in person. And so, will the world end before all these advancements, kind of really play into society? I don't know. I don't know. But I know one thing, only one group is going to continue on, and that's those that have put their faith and trust in Jesus Christ. You know, no matter how smart a robot gets, and if, let's say, it does become alive or something, it would have that choice too, to either choose Jesus or reject Jesus. And if it rejects Jesus, it will probably be destroyed, like any other thing, but everything in this world is going to be destroyed because, God has already said that, it's going to burn with fire. And so, I can't see a robot lasting past that, but I wonder if God will save them if they are kind of intelligent. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking kind of like animals now. I'm thinking with robots, like, oh man, I feel kind of bad if, something that has that much intelligence, like, gets destroyed. It's like, I don't know. And that's why not all people agree that, uh, animals are, you know, uh, when they die, basically. The Bible doesn't necessarily say that. I follow the teaching that, animals don't like resurrect or something. But there are a lot of hard things that are kind of in place as far as eternal hell or, eternal heaven. Some of those things are hard to understand at first. And so, but then again, I'm yet to see these robots in actual reality. And, who knows, the rapture could be soon where, uh, are we ever going to see them in person? All of us are kind of scared that they're going to take our jobs because they're basically making people, these robots are as smart as us or smarter. And so it's like, that's, I think, another sign of the times that, who knows when the rapture, it could be right around the corner, guys. So, thanks so much. Talk to you next time. See ya.